What's up, YouTube friends? Now Easter's coming up fast, probably today by the time I post this video, and I need to get some treat bags made. When I was cruising around Pinterest, I found this cute idea for drawstring carrot bags, and I think any child will love to get this on Easter. And because you know I like things extra scrappy, I went ahead and used a different fabric for each carrot bag. Now this idea came from Stitched by Crystal at makeit-loveit.com, but I did change it up just a little bit because I have a whole bunch of these to make. I'll show you how fast and easy they are next. So the things you're going to need to make these are 2 pieces of orange fabric that measure 6 inches by 7 inches, and 2 pieces of green fabric that measure 6 inches squared. You'll also need a yard of ribbon or 2 18-inch pieces. Today I'll just be using the orange. I'll also be using my pinking shears, a friction pin, and a little bit of Elmer's glue. You also need your sewing machine with matching thread. I'll be using white, and your iron and ironing board. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is grab your orange pieces of fabric. Now I'm just going to lay them on top of each other. I'm going to fold it in half the long way. And I'm going to make sure that my fold is on my left. So now you just want to measure down 1 inch and stick your ruler, and then line it up at the corner at the bottom. Then with your rotary cutter, cut it off. Next, I'm going to grab my green pieces with the right side facing up. I'm going to line up my orange fabric on top. Next, I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and with a fat 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to sew right on the top here. After I have my seam sewn, I'm going to go ahead with my pinking shears, and I'm just going to clip off the top. Now I'm really not taking all that much fabric off. The peak of the triangle is at the top of my fabric. Next, I'm just going to take this over to my ironing board, and I'm going to press it towards the orange side. Just like that. Now you just want to take this back over to your sewing machine, and I'm going to top stitch on the orange fabric with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Alright guys, so I'm still using a straight stitch, and my length is still at 2.5, and this time I'm just going to do an 1/8 inch seam allowance on the orange part. And there's no need to backstitch. Next, I'm going to place my carrots right sides together and throw in a couple pins. So I just like to stick one up here at the top on both sides, and also make sure that your point is lining up nicely and stick a pin. Next, you want to grab your friction pin and your ruler, and I'm going to line it up on the original seam here. It should be the top seam. So I'm going to measure up a 1/4 inch and make a line, and then a 1/2 inch up from that. And I'm going to do that to both sides. And now with my pinking shears, I'm just going to clip the top here. So now you just want to take this back over to your sewing machine, and I'm still using that fat 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to backstitch here at the beginning, and I'm going to sew down to my first line and backstitch. I'm then going to raise my needle and presser foot, move on to the second line, backstitch, and then sew all the way around. And you want to do the same thing on the other side, backstitching at the end. Alright, I'm using the same straight stitch and the same length. This time I'm going to backstitch. And I'm going to sew until I get to my first mark and backstitch. I'm going to raise my needle and my presser foot, go down to my next mark and backstitch, and just keep sewing. And don't forget to backstitch at the end. And with my pinking shears, I'm going to pink around the edges again. And like I said, I'm not really taking that much off. Alright guys, so I went ahead and clipped all the way around my carrot. So now I'm just going to open this up, and I'm going to press all the seams on the green open. So it should look like this. Now this part's optional, but I think it helps get the ribbon through easier. So right where our little opening is, I'm going to take some glue stick and glue down my seam on both sides. So now you just want to fold this right side out. Make sure it's nice and flat, and I'm going to grab my friction pin and my ruler again. So this time from the top of my fabric, I'm going to measure down a 1/2 inch and make a mark. And then I'm going to measure down a 1/2 inch from that line and make another mark. Now this friction pin will go away when I hit it with the iron, so don't worry. And you want to do that to both sides. So now I'm just going to flip this inside out again. And I'm going to fold down my green fabric so that this edge matches with the green edge at the bottom. Just like this. And now I just like to stick a pin at the seams. So now I'm just going to flip this right side out one more time. So I'm just going to take my chopstick here and make sure that my seams are nice and flat. Alright, so now we're going to take this back over to our sewing machine, and we're going to sew on our lines on the inside. Now it is a little tricky, but it is doable. So I like to start at a seam, and I'll backstitch, and I'll sew all the way around, backstitching at the end. Then without breaking my thread, I'll just lift my needle and presser foot and move over to the second line and sew all the way around. Alright guys, so my fingers are probably going to get in the way here, but I'm still using a 2.5 stitch length, and I'm going to start at the first line, and I'm right on the seam. So backstitch, and then just go slow. I'm just doing a little bit at a time and then making sure everything's nice and flat in front of it. So don't forget to backstitch at the end. And now without breaking my thread, I'm just going to go to the other line. And do the same thing. Alright guys, so it should look like this. I sewed all the way around. Now you just want to grab your yard of ribbon and cut it into 18-inch pieces. Then using a small safety pin, I'm going to pin one end of my ribbon, and I'm going to feed it through my casing. Just stick your safety pin in through the hole and just bunch up your fabric. With this finger, I'm holding the pin and pulling it through. And now you just want to tie a knot at the end. And then I'm just going to snip the end with my pinking shears. So now you just want to grab your second piece of ribbon. I'm going to thread it on my needle. So now starting on the opposite side, we're going to thread our ribbon through again. And just like before, tie a knot at the end. And now your carrot drawstring bag is finished. The only thing left to do is to fill it up with little toys or some candies. Now here's a few more that I made, and I think they look really great with different fabrics. Now I have a few more of these to make, so I better get sewing. But I just know any kid would love to get this carrot filled with goodies. I hope you give this video a try. If you like this video and want to see more of my videos, go down below and hit the big red subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. If you have a question about this video or any of my other videos, or would just like to leave a suggestion for a future upcoming video, leave me a comment. Head on over to Facebook, Patreon, and Twitter at Scrappy's Patch if you'd like to friend me there. Feel free to share this video across your social medias. And as always, thanks for watching. Happy Easter, and I'll see you next time.